On this Monday of Thanksgiving week. Kellyanne, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, so the president tweeted out yesterday, hey, Congress, don't disappoint the American people on tax reform. How close are we to finally getting a tax cut?
We feel very confident, but it is up to those legislators who for years, if not decades, have been promising their constituents they're going to get meaningful tax cuts and tax overhaul. And we're very happy that the House and Senate have come up with what I call Trump speed, not swamp speed, in getting their bills to the floor fairly quickly. We feel really great that both bills adhere to the president's 4 core principles for tax cuts and tax relief, repatriation, simplification, middle-class tax cut, and reducing that corporate tax rate so that we're below the average for developed countries instead of the highest in the entire OECD. So we feel great. My colleagues and I have been traveling around the country, as has the president, and up on Capitol Hill constantly. This one feels like everybody's oriented in the same direction. And to your point about the Democrats, the president has said from day one he wants tax cuts to be bipartisan. That's a question for the Democrats. Surely there are business owners and taxpayers and property owners, moms and dads and moms and pops in every state in this country who feel they deserve a tax cut.
So we hope
the Democrats, petty partisan politics will not get in the way.
But partisan politics is getting in the way, and Democrats don't want to give the president a win.
Well, that's too bad, because it's a win for the American people. This is not about a win for the president. This is about giving the forgotten man or forgotten woman who put this man into office, because they'd been forgotten for decades through regulation and taxation and just the overbearance of a government that's too intrusive, invasive, expensive, and expansive. This is for them. And this is not about giving the president a win. That's silly. He's the president. He won. It's a tell Hillary Clinton, by the way, P.S. But this is about people winning. And I do hope in the legacy of Presidents John Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, George W. Bush, even much smaller tax cut, but that we have bipartisan support. We've always been able to rely upon that. I think the Democrats are in big trouble because they have to defend 25 Senate seats next year, 10 in states the president won, 5 he won by massive double digits. They're going to go home and say, when I had a chance to give you more of your hard-earned money, give you a child care tax credit, an adult dependent, double your personal exemption, so your first $24,000 is completely tax-free at 0%. They're going to say, but I didn't do it because of XYZ, when we know it's for petty, partisan, political reasons. And Doug Jones in Alabama, folks, don't be fooled. He'll be a vote against tax cuts. He's weak on crime, weak on borders. He's strong on raising your taxes. He's terrible for property owners.
So
and Doug Jones is a doctrinaire liberal, which is why he's not saying anything and why the media are trying to boost him.
So vote Roy Moore?
I'm telling you that we want the votes in the Senate to get this tax bill through. And the media, if the media were really concerned about all these allegations and that what this was truly about, and the Democrats, Al Franken would be on the ash heap of bygone half-funny comedians. He wouldn't be here in Capitol Hill. He still has his job. What's Bob Menendez doing back here? That's the best my state of New Jersey can do. Huh, Ducey? You live there. But, let me tell you something.
But I'm just saying,
this
the
guy,
RNC
Doug
is
Jones,
withdrawing support
is a
for Roy
doctrinaire
Moore.
liberal. Excuse me?
But the RNC is withdrawing support for Roy Moore. Mitch McConnell's withdrawing support. So is the Young Republicans withdrawing support for
a lot
Roy
of
Moore.
women.
Right. And you know what? I just want everybody to know Doug Jones. Nobody ever says his name. And they pretend that he's some kind of conservative Democrat in Alabama, and he's not.
Kellyanne.
And yes.
Will the president be going back down to Alabama to campaign on behalf of Roy Moore before the special election?
There's no plan to do that. The president is going to continue traveling around the country on tax cuts and other issues, yes.
Kellyanne, there's 6 Republicans that have concerns about this tax reform or tax cut bill. You have Corker, Flake, Senator Johnson, Murkowski, Collins, and Senator McCain. They all have different reasons. And I want to play some sound bites for you. The first one is Susan Collins saying she hasn't supported him from the beginning. And then this was also Senator Jeff Flake. We've butted these sound bites together when he was caught on a hot mic. Listen to this.
President Trump was not my choice for the Republican nominee for president. I want to see changes in that bill, and I think there will be changes. There are some provisions of the House bill that I like better. There are provisions of both bills that I like, but I think the bill needs work.
Come the party of Roy Moore and Donald Trump. We are the toast.
So what is your reaction to that? I mean, Senator Flake's not running for re-election. He clearly doesn't support the president. And then Susan Collins, she has health care that she's concerned with in her state.
I'm very happy that Senator Collins is coming forth now and expressing some of the ways she thinks that the final bill, can be improved, including weaving in some of those provisions from the House bill, which she says she personally prefers. We'd prefer to have those conversations and those debates now than just have somebody show up and be a no vote. That's why the president himself went over to Congress last week. That's why my colleagues and I are there nonstop, out in the hustings, out bringing the case to the American people and taking in their inputs and their ideas and reflecting that in this bill. But in the end, especially with people like Senator Johnson, who's concerned about small businesses, it comes to explaining what's in there for small businesses. A 25% rate, the lowest tax rate on our moms and pop small businesses. I was an S Corp for 22 years. You reinvest that money in your company.
Right.
You buy better inventory, you pay benefits, you're able to attract and retain a workforce that's compensated well and that you can compete with the big guys. The 17.4% deduction for small businesses, the 100% expensing for 5 years, these are all very attractive features to the folks who show up to work before dawn and go home long after dusk.
And Kellyanne, I watched the whole Collins interview. She is absolutely gettable. She's getting her hands dirty in this. That was something about personal behavior and who she picked her in the primaries. But also Corker, I understand, and Ivanka and you were doing a lot of work to win over some of those others. Are doing some honest look into the tax plan because they realize it's about the country, not about who's president. Meanwhile, the president did weigh in and tweeted this out in regards to running back Marshawn Lynch of the Raiders taking a knee during sitting down during the national anthem and standing for the Mexican national anthem. He says this: Marshawn Lynch of the NFL's Oakland Raiders stands for the Mexican national anthem, sits down for hours. Great disrespect. Next time, NFL should suspend him for the remainder of the season. Attendance and ratings way down. So how do you feel about the president weighing in here?
The president has been consistent about this from the very beginning. And look at what's happened to many of these teams, the NFL viewership and attendance at these games. You know what? We have a saying in our house anyway. I think it's a pretty good one. You take a knee for the Lord and you stand for the flag. Many Americans agree with that. And the president has been very consistent about this. And every president, look at the last one, they become involved in some of the cultural and social questions of the day. There's no way to avoid it. And I think many Americans agree with that. And look, if you want to express your viewpoint, and the average NFL player, as I understand it, makes about $2 million a year. That gentleman probably makes far higher and far more. There are so many ways for you to get civically involved. There more than 5 seconds before a game. There are so many ways for you to participate and animate youth and educate them and engage them. And, I mean, the NFL has taken a big hit reputation-wise. They're in a world of hurt. I'm glad the Philadelphia Eagles are 9-1, by the way. But the fact is that I hope Roger Goodell, the NFL, maybe they'll work with us on big initiatives like combating the opioid epidemic and drug demand. That would be terrific. Roger Goodell has publicly said that he'd like to, quote, move on from this, and I bet he would. So he can call us. We can call him and say, hey, can we get you involved in something, all sports, something as big that affects our youth as drug demand reduction.
The commissioner wants to understand the players' union doesn't.
Kellyanne, we wanted to ask you about this. We had a union representative on Friday of last week representing ICE officers who felt that the president had betrayed them in this new secretary for the Department of Homeland Security. They liked General Kelly when he was there, but then now he's your chief of staff. And they feel like the new secretary, Kristen Nelson, is an Obama-era holdover, a lawyer, little experience, didn't back President Trump when he was running, back Jeb, and wasn't really for the wall. So what are these people in this union who are not feeling so good about the leadership there? What are they getting wrong?
Well, that was one person, and I want to say I thought that was an incredibly regrettable and error-riddled interview. First of all, I serve with General Kelly, and I serve with Kirstjen Nielsen. That is her name. Everybody ought to learn how to pronounce it because she's about to be our Secretary of Homeland Security, and she's going to do an amazing job there. She testified under oath how she feels about all these issues. People can go and pull that testimony. She's strong. She's smart. I get a little tired of women having to doubly prove themselves, but that's okay. We're up to the task. And obviously, we survive and thrive here. But Kirstjen Nielsen will be in the likeness of General Kelly. In those first 6 months on that job for General Kelly, he worked on the travel ban, getting that wall built, and keeping our homeland secure. Think of all the things that you're dealing with here. The ports, the border. We have 90% of our heroin comes through the southern border. We have poison coming over the border constantly. She's going to be, and I thought that was a very regrettable interview. Look at what happened last night with the border agent murdered, and God rest his soul. It brings into sharp relief how important it is for us to get Ms. Nielsen confirmed quickly, and there are many border agents, many, who are very happy this president, under his leadership, illegal boarding crossings are down, drugs are being turned away. We have a lot of work to do, but the fact is this president is committed to building that wall. We hope Congress hears him. He has a 70-point immigration plan that anybody can pull up as soon as his interview is over and see how tough he's going to be. 1,000 additional ICE agents.
All right. Yes. Kellyanne, thank you very much.
Thanks,
We're
Kellyanne.
just
Great
about
to see
out of
you.
time.